Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of RCT1 Scenarios But Beautiful. In this episode I'm going to be taking on Pokey Park, or Dinky Park as it's known in American versions of the game. So yeah, as you probably all know, Pokey Park, a tiny scenario, very cramped. You are able to buy more land in this scenario, but I think I'm going to be using just the land that's available in this scenario. I think it will be really fun to actually turn Pokey Park into an indoor park. So what I've planned is to make several levels in this park, which I will be filling with interesting rides, probably some shoestring rides, and I also want to have a coaster in the park, probably going for something like a Eurofighter. I think it will be really cool if the vertical lift of the Eurofighter actually sticks out above the roof. But I'll see how much I can fit in the space we have. And for the lowest floor of the park, I want to convert it into a parking garage, which actually connects to this road. And from the garage I want to have some traffic that actually travels along the road. And probably will turn around here at the back. Maybe I'll make a little tunnel here at the end so I can hide the cars that are turning around. And I'll do the same over here on this side. Kind of like what I did at in my Fantopia playthrough. Anyway, first thing I'm going to do in this park is delete everything that's already here, and after that I will also immediately lower the land to prepare for a parking garage that will be underground. Alright, let's go. Alright, as you can see, the lowest floor of Pokey Park is now done. Yeah, here you can see the parking garage, lots of parked cars. Now, for my own sanity, I decided to not fill all the parking spots, but yeah, I did fill quite a lot of them, but not as much as I would usually do. I don't think too many people will be looking at the parking lot anyway. The layers above it will be more interesting at the end. Now I also decided to make some traffic here on the roads. But yeah, with this first layer done, I can focus on the next layer, probably the most important layer, which is where the entrance of the park will also be. So I'll have to hide this part a little bit. It doesn't really make sense for there to be a queue for the actual parking lot. So yeah, I'll play around with this a little bit and let's see how it goes. Alright, doing these interiors is a lot of work. It's quite difficult to get everything to work, and yeah, you really have to think of what you want to make the inside wall look like and what you want the outside wall to look like. But yeah, for now I'm just focused on doing the interior, and I'll worry about the exterior a bit later. Anyway, the entrance is taking shape. Here we can see a lobby, and over here there's a queue, and I just made it so that it looks like it's the queue for parking tickets. And over here, here we have some stairs leading down to the actual parking garage, and this is actually where the exit for this traffic ride is. So guests who actually enter through the parking ticket machine, and then they exit through this exit, which is here. But yeah, I think it works in the end. Now, one thing that is a little bit tricky about this traffic ride is actually that the noise rating is pretty extreme. So yeah, this just has to do with with how the stats are calculated. I changed the ride into a lift, and probably something went crazy in the stat calculation. Max speed is quite high. So yeah, not really sure what happened there. This is probably also the reason that I actually bid this scenario. So after I opened this traffic ride, we just had a huge rise in park value for some reason. Might have to do with the stats of the ride. But yeah, that was actually quite funny. Anyway, in order for me to continue with this park, I actually plan to have a Eurofighter coaster over here. I think I'll first have to see how big this coaster will be before I can start partitioning this park further, because it will be a large part of the park. So it's probably best if I start with that now to see if I'm going to need any more space for it, because it would be a shame if I already started building things here only to find out that I don't have enough space for the coaster. So since this is going to be the biggest part of the park, probably the best if I start with the coaster now. Okay, here's the layout for the Eurofighter coaster. Now I'm quite happy with what I managed to cram into this tiny space. So yeah, it has 4 inversions. Starts with this vertical loop, then a cobra roll, then this 0G roll. Now these trains don't actually have sprites for the 0G roll, since it's a new element that has been included into the game. But yeah, I think it works well enough. Might look a little bit janky as these trains go through it, but I think it will do. You can actually see it here. I think yeah, if you blink while watching it, you won't even notice. Yeah, here there's a brake run, since these trains will have a lot of speed as they arrive here. I tried to put in another inversion, but there just wasn't really enough space, and the trains wouldn't actually make it through a large corkscrew here. So I guess this is what the final layout will be. Now, I think it will be a little bit tricky to actually get a queue here. Actually, I can probably just make the entrance and exit on the same side, and then I could easily fit a queue over here. So I think I will wall off this area from the rest of the park and probably make a big glass window over here. And probably I'll have the lift hill stick through the roof. Maybe make a extra or just a separate glass section around it. I think that will look pretty cool. Anyway, I'm just going to do the first layer of the wall around it, because it will impede my vision of the rest of the park a little bit. So I'll probably just continue that as I continue building the rest of the park. Anyway, I'm just going to make a little floor over here so I can expand the park. Alright, you can see the bottom floor taking shape. So I put a swinging ship over here. Here in the middle there's a spiral slide. Here I put the queue for the coaster. It changed its shape a few times, because I decided I also wanted to have some elevators here on the side. And these will also be visible on the outside of the building in the end. Now I actually moved the entrances and exits into the ride, so that yeah, I don't really need a queue. I can directly connect the path to this. And over here on this side, I think I'm just going to make a bigger wall here, so that guests actually directly enter the wall into the elevator, just like real buildings. So no extra space in between here. Now I'm going to fill up the rest of this area with some shops and stalls. And somewhere over here I also want to make some stairs leading to the second floor. And yeah, after that it's just a matter of finishing up the walls on this side, which will also be quite a big task, I think. Because probably I'll need to do some interesting walls on both sides, and also here in the middle to divide these sections. And then after that I can continue on in the second floor. And probably this entrance also still needs some work, especially these walls. Alright, the entire first floor is now done. Now that actually took me quite a bit of time to complete. Yeah, I don't very often do large indoor parks, so this is quite a challenge for me. Now to see everything, you actually have to use the cutaway view, especially for the entrance area over here. But all in all, I think everything's nice and visible in the end. Problem is maybe a little bit with the swinging ship, since it's a ride that's just built up out of lots of different scenery and track elements. As you use the cutaway view, yeah, some things actually go out of view. Now, yeah, as you can see, a little restaurant here, lifts behind a wall. I made a pair of drop towers here, which extends all the way through the building. I will make some cutouts here in the next floor, well, in the next 2 floors actually. I think this will look pretty cool. I think it will be fun for the guests to be able to watch this pair of drop towers from every floor. And yeah, I gave all the parts of the building inside walls and outside walls. I think in the end it looks pretty cool. So I decided to do a little bit of recoloring of these windows over here. Yeah, I'm actually really happy with how everything here turned out. You can also see the lifts here that lead to the 2nd floor. There's a stairway here that leads to the 2nd floor. So yeah, I think it's time now for me to actually start working on the 2nd floor. Don't really know what kind of rides I'm going to build here yet, and what kind of style, but I'll figure that out as I build it. Alright, the 2nd floor is now taking shape as well. You can see the elevators over here. Well, this floor is going to be a little bit shorter than the floor below it. A little bit less tall, I should probably say. So yeah, I won't be making rides that are as tall as on the floor below it. I made a merry-go-round over here, and I made a flying saucers ride. I made this, well, I made a hole here in the floor so the drop towers can protrude through. I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah, I think this is definitely one of the nicer parts of the park. I really like this this interaction here. And the floor above it is going to have this as well. Now over here, just like the floor below, made a little restaurant once again, also with some entertainers with guest costumes. You can see some toilets over here. And in this section over here, I actually want to make one of those shooting dog rides. So I think I'll have guests drive around in monster trucks, and I'll just make a heavily decorated car ride over here with lots of these targets scattered around, like this one. So we can just pretend that the guests have to shoot these in order to score points. So yeah, just I'll just try to make a nice looking, heavily decorated track here with a lot of these targets next to it. I think in the end that will be a ride that you would typically find in a indoor park like this. And when that's done, I can continue finishing all the walls on this floor, which will probably also take a bit of time. Then after that I can continue on the third floor, which I think will be the last floor of the park. Alright, the dark ride is now completed. Now I named it Jungle Jeep Journey. Yeah, not much of a special name I think, but it just sounds nice. And as you may be able to see, it's just a monster truck ride. The layout is pretty simple, but I just heavily decorated it and put lots of these targets next to the ride. Just to make it look like, yeah, this would be one of those rides where guys have to shoot these targets. Next to a lot of the targets, I put some objects like a cannoneer with a frozen entertainer bandit. So put a gorilla over here. Yeah, I think that that is a great way to add some more patrons to the park, as I always do in these parks. Yeah, this is another way to have some more entertainers. I'll probably add a few more later. But also I think it's just a nice way to add some interaction here to the ride. And I think entertainers actually work great as objects in the park, especially for a ride like this. Yeah, I think it actually worked out pretty well. You can see I made these walls all black. Now of course these will be the inside walls, and the outside I will decorate this wall a bit more. Yeah, I think with this the second floor of the park is complete. So now I will just continue to enclose everything. So I'll add all the walls around it. I'll make the stairway to the third floor. Yeah, then once that's done, I think I can finally open up the elevator ride. Alright, the second floor of Pokey Park is now complete. Now, as you can see here, I made a merry-go-round, I made a flying saucers ride, and I made this dark ride over here with these targets. Also finished the second floor here of the building for the coaster, and I also made a roof for it. So all that's left to do here for this roof is probably fix this glitching a bit. And I'll just extend the roof here a bit, only for this section. I think it will be cool, yeah, just for this part of the coaster to extend in its own section of building with some more glass. I think that will look pretty cool. I think the guests would have a nice view from inside the building here. All that's left to do here is to add the final floor of the park. I think it will actually be cool to have something like a go-kart ride here in this section of the park. And maybe another ride or two in this area. And I think that would definitely be enough rides for the park. I think in the end Pokey Park with this extra part of the building will look really cool. Alright, with that the third floor of the park is completed. Let's do a quick overview. So here you can see a go-kart track that I created. I actually made the track itself invisible, so now the go-karts are racing around on this green floor, whatever this is. Maybe some kind of stuff that has extra grip, something like that. Made a little path over the go-kart track, and the rest of the path just extends, just goes around the track here. It's actually fun that you can see quite a few guests watching. They're probably actually watching the barrier right next to the track. But in the end, I think this is a pretty cool looking go-kart track. You can also see the top here of the pair of drop towers. It extends from the bottom of the park all the way to the top. I think that's pretty cool. Probably need to top it off here with a block, something like this. I'll come up with something. Anyway, I want to make one final floor on this park. That's also why you could see me extend this pair of elevators. Now that was actually really annoying because all the entrances and exits that I placed over here, they all disappeared, so I had to redo them all with the tile inspector, which was quite time consuming, but in the end it all worked out. Anyway, I think I'm going to build one final ride on the roof, and I think it will be really cool to just finish off this park with a spectacular ride on the roof. And what ride is more spectacular than one of these Star Flyer rides? Alright, and with that the final ride of Pokey Park is placed. What I'm going to do now is quickly do some detailing here and there, and I'm going to add a lot of entertainers to the park and freeze them in place in several places in the park. And after that we're just going to do a little tour and just go through everything that has been built in the park. Alright, I did some detailing throughout the park and I added a lot of entertainers. And I will now quickly name all these entertainers after my patrons who keep supporting me and who really give me the motivation to keep making these videos. So thanks a lot for everybody who supports me. Anyway, I'm quickly gonna do this naming session, and after that we're gonna take a tour through the park to check back everything that I've created in the park so far. Alright, all my current patrons have been added in the park. Now, yeah, it is a little bit difficult to show all of them, since we'll have to use the cutaway view to see most of the entertainers here. If you're wondering where your spot is in the park, just go download and check out the park for yourself, and yeah, through this list it will be easiest to find yourself. Now, some of them I can already show you. We have 73 here on top of the Star Flyer. We have a hanging mechanic over here, Nick Andy 89. We have a few guests here who are totally swimming. Enox, Swarmot. We have a plane crash over here. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of entertainers in the park, so go download it and check it for yourself. You can download the park from my Discord server. The link is in the video description. Anyway, I think it will be fun to take a little tour through the park and go over everything that I've built in the park. Now, first off, I said I was gonna decorate the paths or the roads a bit more, but in the end I decided to just have traffic drive on them, and that's where I left it, since I think the park itself is probably most important anyway. So I'll use the cutaway view. Over here we have the entrance of the park. Now, as you can see, the park has 4 floors. Actually, there's 5 floors. I should start completely at the bottom, actually. So, yeah, here at the bottom we have a parking garage. So lots of cars parked over here. And this is actually also where the traffic ride is. So I actually made it so that guests, these cars have to have guests before they drive around. I always prefer to have, if I have traffic in a park, to actually have guests riding the vehicles. I often see parks that have cars without passengers riding around. I think that looks a little bit silly. So, yeah, here we also have the entrance to the parking garage. The cars drive through it a little bit on the fast side, but yeah, it's something I'm willing to accept. So, then over here, here's the park entrance. So yeah, here you can see a little structure that I built with some flags on top, some track texture, some gates with several entertainers standing next to it. Then over here I made some of these ticket machines, and here is the gate where some entertainers are positioned to, yeah, let's just pretend they are checking the guest tickets. And over here in the corner I actually made the entrance to the traffic ride, which you see over here, and actually put yeah, one of these catch machines here to serve as the yeah, the parking ticket machine. I think that's a fun way to do it. Now over here we have a swinging ship. It's a bit difficult to show everything of it because there's also walls around it. But I think this gives a good view of it. It's one of these typical swinging ships that I like to make. Over here we have some seafood stalls. We have this spiral slide over here. And over here there's one of the most important rides of the park, which is this big Eurofighter coaster. Yeah, again, a little bit difficult to show the entire ride now. But yeah, I actually also extended the roof here a bit so the lift hill would be able to completely fit in here. Probably show the underground view. That's probably the best. So also used some of the new elements that the limb launched coaster got, and I decided to just use the limb launched coaster track piece everywhere instead of using the Giga Coaster track, which I normally use for these kind of coasters. But yeah, let's hope the Giga Coaster track soon also gets all these inversions. Now, I think I made quite a nice layout here. It's nice and compact. Fits here quite nicely. I think it looks really cool here in this park. And then here in the corner I made this little restaurant, and there's also this pair of drop towers, which actually goes up all the way throughout the park. You can see on every floor there's like a little balcony or a cutout. I think it's really fun to watch this ride go up here and then later also drop down. You can see it on the top floor here. I think this is one of the, in my opinion, it's one of the coolest rides at the park. I think that was most of the things that are on the bottom floor, or the first floor. We also have an elevator here, which also travels up to all the floors and even to the roof. Okay, and there's also a stair leading up to the second floor. And on the second floor, we have a custom carousel over here. Yeah, just use some of these horses. There's a shoestring, so there's also some underground track. We have some flying saucers over here. Yeah, not really anything special about this ride. You can see the drop towers over here. And here in this section, I made a dark ride. It uses these monster truck vehicles. You can see also lots of frozen entertainers next to the track. And a lot of these targets, as this is supposed to be one of these shooting dark rides. Yeah, I think it's a fun addition to the park. Definitely something you could expect in an indoor park, I think. And then again, in the corner here, I made a little restaurant. This one in a different style once again. You can see again some entertainers who are running the shops. Or the stalls, I should say. Anyway, then over here, this floor with the coaster ends. And over here we have this go-kart track. Track's kind of in the shape of a question mark, not the shape of anything else. Yeah, besides the go-kart track, there was not much space to fit anything else. I think it's a nice way to fill up this floor over here. But yeah, I think the go-karts definitely look pretty cool. I'm really happy with the layout. Now, and then finally we end up here on the roof. And here on the roof we have this big star flyer. I think that's really yeah, a nice eye catcher for the park. Something that which would be visible from far out. Yeah, I think it's just a really cool way to finish off the park. Really happy with it. Now I'm really happy with how this park turned out. Yeah, I don't have much experience with making indoor parks, and I definitely don't recommend anyone to do it. It's quite awkward to build one of these. It's a lot of scenery work. Had to place walls on both the inside and the outside. See a little bit of glitching going on here and there. But yeah, it was an interesting experience, to say the least. Yeah, I do hope a lot of people will download this park for themselves to explore everything there's to see here. I think it's really fun to just use the cutaway view and to just explore all of the floors. It's a lot of decoration. I think this is definitely one of the first and one of the few parks where I actually used the flower power path. I think it actually works really well as a carpet. Anyway, yeah, that's going to be it for this video. If you liked watching me build, or if you liked this park, please consider giving this video a like. It would really help out my channel. I would also really like it if you could just leave a short comment. It can only be a few words. Yeah, just tell me what you think of the park. It would also help me out, because if you leave a comment, that's more engagement for the video, and YouTube really likes that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching me build. I hope you enjoyed the park. You can download it from my Discord server. Now, normally I do a little thing where we follow the coaster through the layout, but I think you would not really be able to see anything. We can probably do it like this. Okay, yeah, let's finish off this video by taking a little ride on this coaster. Alright, hope you enjoyed watching me build, and I'll see you again in the next video. See you later.